far more than we think. Making Sense of Spirituality by Angelo. Chapter 13. The Attitude of Gratitude. Once we see that acceptance can lead to peace of mind, we can raise our sights a little to the subject of gratitude. There's a great deal of personal power in adopting the attitude of gratitude, even if we imagine that we don't have much to be grateful for. If we think again about our glass half filled with water, we can begin to see that gratitude is a choice. However, the choice is usually fairly automatic because, as we've seen, our thoughts come from our imagined truths. We can either be grateful that the glass is half full and that we have something to drink, or we can grumble that the glass is half empty and that there's not enough. I remember a colleague from my days in business once explaining the complexities of financial incentives for employees. Imagine if two staff members who perform similar roles are called into their manager's office. The manager congratulates the first employee on doing a very fine job and awards him a £100 discretionary bonus. This was completely unexpected, and the employee is delighted to have been recognised in this way and very grateful for the additional money. He's happy and smiling and filled with gratitude. The manager then turns to the second staff member and makes a similar speech about how pleasing his performance has been and awards him a bonus of £200. The second employee is pleased, grateful, and actually feels a bit smug that he's been given more than his colleague. The first employee is now instantly unhappy. Why should his colleague receive twice as much? It's obviously not fair. It's outrageous. Jealous, angry thoughts arise in his mind, and all previous thoughts of gratitude are long gone. £100 is seen as an insult. The manager, he thinks, can stuff his job if that's the way of saying thank you. So the manager's attempt to motivate his staff backfires on him, all because of comparisons. This precise scenario is perhaps unlikely, but the thoughts and feelings that arise are everyday occurrences in the world of commerce. Comparisons are made, and the result is bitterness. We talked about comparison in a previous chapter, and it's comparison that stifles gratitude. It may be comparison with what others have, or comparison with how we think things ought to be. Instead of being grateful for all the wonderful things in our lives, we focus on feeling dissatisfied about the things we perceive we lack. Perception of lack often obliterates any possibility of gratitude. Our example in the manager's office highlights this perfectly. Instead of being grateful for the £100 that he now had, our first employee focused on the £100 that he lacked compared to his colleague. In order to bring gratitude to the fore, we need to revise our perceptions about lack. Is there enough to go round? Is there ever enough to satisfy us? When I've eaten my fill at dinner time and am offered a further helping, I tend to politely decline by saying it was lovely, but I've had enough. My stomach is full and there's no room to fit anything else in. But if I had no idea where my next meal was coming from, I may well have accepted that offer of an extra helping of dinner, even though I was already full. In truth, though, I have faith that food will always be readily available, and as a result, I take a different view. I'm grateful for this fact of my life. If, on the other hand, I'm asked if I have enough money, my reply may be either I do have enough, or I do not, but in either case I will always take more if it's offered. More money may not be required, but it's always desired. This desire for more is based either on greed, envy, or out of a fear that I might run out of money in the future and may as well grab as much as I can now. These thoughts of fear, envy, and fear of going without are based on a fundamentally imagined truth that there's not enough of anything in the world. Not enough food, not enough water, not enough money, not enough natural resources, and so on. This fundamentally imagined truth is arguably based on too narrow a perspective. If we look at the planet as a whole, there is enough food, water, and natural resource for everyone. And money is not lacking in global terms because it's an artificial commodity that is a means to an end rather than an end in itself. Lack only arises because humanity acts out of ego rather than spirit, and hoards what is freely available rather than sharing our common abundance. Well, this book focuses on personal spirituality, but clearly these principles would also benefit humankind as a whole, if only enough critical mass could be achieved. Quote, "Imagine all the people sharing all the world," close quote, from John Lennon. The perception of lack arises from a limited perspective of what is really available. The natural world provides everything we need in order to survive and thrive. The ego will tell us otherwise, but the spirit knows this to be true. Abundance is the underlying truth of our existence, but we refuse to believe it. Well, this is where some courage is required. It takes faith to place trust in our higher selves. Gets easier once we begin to experience that it works, but we will never know until we let go of imagined truths and allow change to take place. Once we reduce our feelings of lack and accept the circumstances of our lives, gratitude comes naturally. Instead of focusing on what's missing, we see abundance everywhere. Simple things that we used to take for granted, like food, water, shelter, friendships, and the beauty of the natural world, become gifts for which to be grateful. The simple technique of writing a list of all the things in our lives that we are grateful for is a powerful way of bringing this abundance into our reality. When we ignore all the negative stuff and focus on what we are grateful for, we may be surprised at just how long this list becomes. The combination of acceptance and gratitude will gradually broaden our perspective from the daily grind of life and reveal the bigger picture. As our perspective changes, the cycle of the mind will change our perceptions, thoughts, emotions, and experience of life. There's more to come though, because it's possible to reach a stage of consciousness and awareness where we can be grateful for everything in our lives, both good and bad. But this is a bold statement, and I have no wish to antagonize anyone regarding the particular circumstances of their lives. Spirituality is a gradual process of ever-increasing consciousness, and I'm referring here to later potential stages. There is a mindset that can be grateful for everything. We can be grateful for the good things in life because they're good, and also be grateful for the bad things in life because they offer the opportunity for further growth and wisdom. Pain is the touchstone of growth, and if our objective is further spiritual progress, it's possible to see how setbacks and challenges can be beneficial. My own story includes some very low points that I was certainly not grateful for at the time. But as time passes, I can look back and see that these things spurred me on and have ultimately led me to write this book. Gratitude is perhaps too strong a word at this stage, but I can at least view the past with far less negativity than I used to. I can acknowledge, even grudgingly, that I have benefited from what has happened to me. I'm certainly grateful to be alive, and also healthy and happy, and there was a time when none of these things looked likely. We can be grateful for small mercies if we choose to be. I certainly am. Gratitude costs us nothing and is freely available to choose at any time and under any circumstance. If gratitude is too much to contemplate at this stage of our journey, we can at least adopt acceptance as our view of our past and present lives. Acceptance and gratitude are routes to inner peace. These attitudes towards life can be applied on a daily basis and can be used powerfully to heal our past wounds. Quote, cry, forgive, learn, move on. Let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. Close quote. And that's by Steve Maraboli. Gratitude nurtures spirit and gently pushes ego out of the way. Instead of pridefully focusing on what we've achieved ourselves, we humbly acknowledge the gifts and opportunities that have appeared in our lives. The attitude of gratitude is not always obvious or easy, but it can make a huge difference to our experience of life. I'm grateful to now know this as truth.